Hello and welcome once again to the Dwarven Tavern. Welcome to 2018. I am your host, Lyric, and today, this year, we're going to start off with a beginner's video. I haven't done one of these in a while, so I'm gonna jump right in. It's been a while getting the new setup set up, so we've had a little bit of a break, but I'm back with another beginner's video. So let's just jump right into it, shall we? This time we're going to do a video on the necessities in-game. And what I mean by that is the stuff that video games has a really good handle on. It's a lot easier to keep track of all of the monotonous, I guess is the word I'm looking for, the dronings on of a normal human body, for example. That's like eating, sleeping, using the potty, doing stuff that you have to do to stay alive, regardless of what you're doing, in the adventure that you're partaking in. Let's just have a little example. Like for, I don't know, most video games, you have like a little, in the corner of the screen, you've got a little diagram of how much sleep you need, or how much stamina you've used, or how much food you need to eat, or if you're thirsty, or a lot of them neglect the potty break aspect of it, but these are all very important things that your character needs to survive, and the video games are usually really good with taking care of that. In Dungeons and Dragons, or Pathfinder, or whatever other role-playing game you're playing, this is usually forgotten about or not talked about, and I feel like we should really expand on that idea and why it's not talked about and what you can do to incorporate it more into your own game. So the reason, and I've kind of mentioned this already, the reason that it's not really used in game is because it's monotonous. It's tedious and tiring and painstaking. No one cares about if you need rations, or if you need to take a nap, or if you have to go to the potty, if you're constipated, or even worse, have diarrhea in the middle of battle. No one cares about that because it's boring, and that type of stuff is the stuff that we're trying to escape in the role-playing games. We just want to, live out our wildest imaginations and strangest fantasies through role-playing games, and don't make that dirty. I know you guys are making that very, very derogatory and innuendoous. Innuendoous? Full of innuendos. Anyway, so it's painstaking, and no one wants to do it, and I think that detracts from the game. It certainly doesn't add to it. When you omit the necessities of your characters, you're omitting a part of them that's, even though it's boring, it is still important. A lot of people only really think about this type of stuff when they are trying to regain their hit points. I've caught myself doing this multiple times where I'm, at half of my natural hit points, and I'm like, well, what's the quickest way to get that back without using all of my gauze or ointments or medical supplies, and that's by sleeping. Just like in video games, you get all of your stuff back by sleeping. And I think it should be more inclusive than that. We should be able to keep in mind of the food we eat and the water we drink, and we have bedrolls for a reason. We should use them to sleep. But I guess what I'm most concerned about is the actual potty breaks. It's a weird topic to discuss in a video, but it's still something that isn't really talked about. Probably because it makes people uncomfortable. So, make sure, if you're not doing it already, to at least incorporate one of these aspects, and make sure to include it in a non-hit point related fashion. If you're the DM, mayhaps talk about your characters and how long they've been traveling, and keep in mind of how exhausted battles can be, and if you're really trying to get into character, maybe have them eat around food, or talk around food is what I meant. Have them sit around the table and just role play, and have their characters have a conversation over soup, and that should, bring that more into the game. Another idea I just came up with off the top of my head is when you sit down to eat during a game, don't play through the meal. If you're at a good stopping point or resting point, if you're not in the middle of a battle, perhaps you can incorporate the food your players are eating into the game that their characters are eating. So, for example, if you guys are sitting down and having like chicken noodle soup or something, then maybe you guys can play out what it would be like for all of you to sit down and have a conversation at a tavern. Specifically the Dwarven Tavern. We'd love to have you. So that would be one way to include those characters in something that is otherwise drones on. And it does it in a way that it's not totally boring. So, and you don't even have to like stay at the tavern the entire time your players are eating. You can just start it out that way and then your characters move on regardless of if your players are done eating. So, that's one way to do it. Another way to do it is probably to set a timer. This is a little more, I don't feel like this is gamer friendly because games their time fluctuations are crazy. You can have a 6-hour walk last for 2 seconds, and then a 5-minute battle lasts for 3 hours. So the idea of timing something, like, oh, you have to go to the bathroom every 6 hours, every 3 if you have UTI, which is probably not good. You should probably get that checked out. If you want to keep track of this to the point that you, I guess, really ingrain it into your mind that it's a necessity, would be to time it until you're used to doing that for your players. It will be kind of annoying to have an alarm going off every hour on the hour for, making sure your characters have slept enough or eaten enough. If there's no battles going on and there's only a role-playing session, then those are very important things that you can keep track of with a timer. Sleeping and eating, I wouldn't worry too much about. It's the drinking and going to the bathroom that I have the bigger concern, is that your characters, they eat and then they sleep, and that's all that's there. Is you never talk about like what happens on your way to the bathroom, what happens on your way back from the bathroom, have you taken a shower of late? And I'm not talking about wading in ankle-deep water to loot the gold that came out of the monster you just slain. I'm talking about when's the last time you actually sat in a bathtub and actually scrubbed. Because that armor does get a little janky and a little dirty, both inside and out. So I have a bad habit of doing this myself, but maybe using a timer can actually get that set into your brain to do that. Another reason I bring this up is because if you are keeping track of this and you are trying to use this for your characters in your games, then there's the aspect of an unfortunate timed event. You could be experiencing dysentery from bad food that you ate that you didn't cook all the way, and when you were camping, traveling from one place to another, you never know what food is good and what food is bad, and are you poisoned, and you really need to go to the bathroom every 20 minutes. Well, what happens if at 19 minutes you encounter a band of, let's go with hobgoblins, and suddenly you're attacking them from both ends. So the aspect of keeping track of your body functions would be very important in those moments, because they could, I guess there is ways to incorporate this in the game that's might already been covered in some of the books. Like, for example, you may consider yourself fatigued. If you got a stomach virus going on, even though you're probably, your underwear is just non-existent anymore because you're just blowing it out every chance you get, then you're probably fatigued. It's probably exhausting to be that sick. And that can hinder you in battle. I'm not sure if I'm using the right words here, but you guys know what I mean. It can probably just destroy your chances of winning. And it could probably make a thing a very mundane encounter a little more interesting and also a little more memorable. You could definitely come up with some very strange stories if you've got a UTI in the middle of battle. So that's another aspect you can have to this type of thing that is normally forgotten about. If you're, peeing blood in the middle of a fight or in the middle of a negotiation, chances are it's not going to go so well. Or it could go in the exact opposite direction and go completely in your favor. So that's for the DM's discretion. I'll leave that up to you guys. So in summary, what I'm trying to say is that the necessities that we often neglect can sometimes make the game a little more interesting, both good and bad. If you're experiencing, human necessities, even if you're not a human in-game, which I assume if you're walking a bipedal monster or humanoid, you have the same digestive tract that we do. And that's a good topic to have too. But I'm not going to discuss that here because that's getting a little too sciencey for this conversation right now. I'm just making a bunch of poop jokes. So I'll leave that for a different video. I'm assuming that if you have the same digestive tract, then you're going to go to the bathroom. So, keep that in mind and use the methods that I may or may not have mentioned. And that's, just bringing it up every so often, maybe keeping a timer about it. Make sure that it's something that you could have it written, like on a post-it note that you keep on the back of your DM screen. Check every so often. If you see it, it's going to be like, oh, yeah, have you gone to the bathroom anytime soon? Well, you're super constipated and locked up, and you have a -2 to fort or whatever, fortitude. So next time the sleep spell gets cast on you, sorry, poop jokes are just hysterical to me. And next time someone casts a sleep spell on you, your bowels just let loose. And then fairies will never mess with you again, that's for sure. So there's a whole bunch of different creative things, different unpleasant things that can create a lot of different stories that your characters can have other than the hack and slash adventures that you may be used to. So on that note, on that very unpleasant smelling note, what a way to start the new year. Am I right? Bunch of poop jokes. That really sets the tone for 2018. I am Lyric. Oh, don't worry, the next videos that I'm planning on doing will not be on such a gross topic. I am Lyric, once again with the beginner's video, and we wish for you to want for nothing but adventure, and at first I feared, then I charged. Thank you guys for watching, and we will see you next time.